I do not care for hunky boys. Or do I?
You want burgers, hot dogs, some chicken, and ribs. Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
So, have you ever known anybody that is as spunky and sassy as Mimi is in this movie?
A few of our children?
Maybe. I don't know. I was trying to think if I knew anybody, and I feel like Mimi would be your mom when
Probably
she was
like my
younger.
mom in young form. That's creepy.
Yes.
That's
Because, I didn't know her before almost 6 years ago. Like, was she like this when she was younger?
I didn't know her when she was younger.
Well, I know
so that's
that.
kind of hard for me to say.
Well, I know that, but I mean, like, when you were growing up and stuff.
I did. Yeah, a little bit. She was, I don't know. My mom didn't take any shit from anybody, which I guess, no, I don't know if anyone I've ever met is quite like Mimi in today's feature.
Oh, gosh, no.
And we have some spunky little bastards living with us, honestly.
Right.
Our youngest is fucking insane. I don't know. I feel like our kids would be the ones that would befriend the intergalactic alien villain.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
So anyway, you may be wondering what the fuck we're talking about. Well, welcome to Night of the Horror File. I'm Lee Evans, and each week here on this podcast, if you're just joining us, we take a horror movie or genre film, and we show it to my beautiful wife, Brittany, who then gives us her input. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. If you listen to the Patreon, pretty bad on Bubba Hotep, I think. Oh, God. Okay.
It's been worse.
It's true. It has been worse, actually. I think everybody's still trying to wrap their minds around the thing.
I will watch it again. And
we will have to do
redo
that.
it.
Maybe we'll redo the episode. I don't know. Maybe we'll just put out we'll talk, put out a little bonus episode where we talk about it. I don't think we need to redo the entire episode.
Yeah.
But we'll have to do a reevaluation period, I think.
Right.
But anyway, so this week, what did we watch?
PG. Psycho Goreman.
That's right. Psycho Goreman from 2020, the year everything was shitty. Really, really shitty. I'll talk about it later on, but I feel like this movie came at just the right time. You know what I mean? It came at the shittiest era of man, and it just brought up with it like a breath of fresh air. But this week, of course, we're taking a bit of a break from horror, I believe, too. Through this month, we watched some pretty scary horror movies, I think. Okay, nothing scared Brittany.
I was like, what are you
Tune in
talking
next month, though. I'll talk about it at the end of the show, but tune in next month because I think we might actually scare the shit out of Brittany.
Nice.
But we kind of did some horror movies. Well, we did horror. What are we talking about? This is a horror movie podcast. I don't know. Not judging from like April through June, though. It's a little different. But like I said, we're taking a bit of break, doing a little light movie. It's not a complete break from our normal stuff, but we are getting a bit light with today's feature from our friends to the north, Canada. Psycho Goreman from 2020, PG. It's got a lot going for it, first of all. A lot. This is a combination of genres that it's like nothing you've seen before, I think.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely not.
Totally not. And one of the elements, though, it has for it is nostalgia. But I think unlike a lot of nostalgia kicks that are in movies that we see most of the time, I think this one does it right. You know what I mean?
The subtleness?
Yeah, it just gets it right, because you don't need nostalgia like the fucking, the 80s nostalgia movies that we get nowadays. I don't need the 80s punching me in the face over and over again. I get it. Just set your movie in the 80s and not have cell phones. We'll get it.
Right.
And I think this movie does a great job at creating that. It takes elements from our past and from, well, my childhood specifically, and puts them in a new, unique form.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Directed and written by Steven Kostanski, who also directed the wonderfully creepy horror flick The Void, and directed other films like Leprechaun Returns, which I'm sorry is the better recent Leprechaun movie. But also he directed Manborg, which is seriously an underrated movie. If you guys like just stupid, silly shit, like go watch Manborg. It's a whole lot of fun.
Okay.
I'm surprised people don't talk about it more. But Kostanski is a member of the Canadian production company Astron 6, which is known for producing these low budget type 80s throwback movies like today's feature, In fact, Adam Brooks, co-founder, appears in this film as Greg.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as does Kostanski as his other Astron pals. They kind of pop up. But anyway, like I said, the Void was really the Void was the movie that really got people talking about Kostanski, I believe. I feel like it. I knew him before The Void came out, but that movie is such a trippy fucking scary movie. It's honestly very good. I don't know if you could do notes on it.
Oh, really?
It's one of those type of movies, it's just
ADHD.
yeah, I don't know if you could. I don't know. Who knows? You have surprised me because you took notes on this movie first.
Right.
Because what did you say? This movie was like watching ADHD on film.
Yes.
Is what we got here.
Yeah.
Because it is going in all different directions, but it feels like it stays on track though. It's just really weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
But now the idea for PG was bouncing around in Steven's head for quite some time. He always had this image ingrained in his brain of a monster sitting behind a drum set, and so he always wanted to figure out how to incorporate that into a movie. And he does it wonderfully here today, by the way.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He caught the film Rawhead Rex one night on television. Now, his idea was, wouldn't it be cool if some kids somehow became in control of a monster like this? Basically, he thought it'd be really cool to combine Rawhead Rex with E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which is kind of how this is called PG Psycho Goreman.
I didn't even think
you
about
see the
that.
similar. It's very similar to E.T. This is like the adult version of E.T. You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Yeah. There's a lot of similarities. But now, if you have seen the anthology horror film ABCs of Death 2, in that movie, Steven directs a segment for the letter W, which is W for wish. And there are two kids that get transported into another world. And in that thing, you can definitely tell where PG, his universe, got his humble beginnings. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's cool.
I actually enjoy those ABC of Death movies.
I've never heard of that.
They're not. It goes through the whole alphabet.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's shorts, and each person gets in there and directs one short for one letter of the alphabet.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's not particularly good, but it's very interesting and weird because there's so many letters, and then you have somebody doing a short for each one. So it starts getting really. By the time you get to Z, your brain is frizzling out. Yeah, it's wild. It's a wild ride. But so Steven's idea, like I said, was he just wanted an R-rated horror movie with the title PG as well, and he thought that would be hilarious. That's the funny thing about Steven Kostanski is because when you hear him talk about his movies, he is not afraid to call them stupid. Which I kind of appreciate because he's like, well, I have to dial back on some of the stupid. Like, I'll leave some of this stupid because he has a fascination for stupid humor.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah.
I'm not calling Psycho Goreman stupid.
No.
I think it's the humor in this is relatively smart, which is really funny because he didn't set out to write a comedy either. It wasn't really, he didn't go for comedy in the script, but for some reason, like when it all comes together, it just it just makes it comical in this thing, all these elements put together. So, of course, I have a lot to say about our movie today. So let's hop into Psycho Goreman from 2020.
That's so weird to say. 2020.
It really is. It really is. Ugh. Why is that so weird?
I don't
Why
know.
Is it so
it's,
weird?
it's so weird.
I feel like I'm talking about Vision. Anyway.
So many moons ago, on the distant planet of Gygax,
You know.
you got blown up. You did. You got blown up.
Now, speaking of 2020, which
Ew.
is really weird to say on this show because I don't think we've ever said that. Like,
No.
I think this is the most recent movie we've done in some time. You know, I think what was the last one? Hereditary? I think that was the most up-to-date movie we've done. We usually stick to older movies to kind of give people, you know, a chance to get around the spoilers. I kind of went with this because I feel like everybody probably who listens to the show has Shudder. And it is Shudder. It's on Shudder, like streaming. And so you can watch it on there. And I feel like everybody and their dog has seen Psycho Goreman by this time.
Are you sure? I didn't even know it existed.
You did not know this existed.
No.
Do you feel better because you know now?
Is my life different because I know about Psycho Goreman? No.
No, frig off. But anyway, I felt the need up top here to just tell you, if you haven't seen the movie, if you don't want it spoiled, I don't know how you could spoil this for anybody. It's kind of there, like in the trailer, you know what's happening. But if you don't want it spoiled for you, go ahead and turn this off and come back later after you've seen the movie. And once again, it is on Shudder, streaming on there, so you don't have to buy a Blu-ray or nothing like that.
Right. Don't buy a Blu-ray to listen to our podcast. Unless you really want to, but
I don't know. As soon as I announce we're doing Japanese horror next month, everybody's been watching Japanese horror movies. So the pressure's on. The pressure's on, Lee. My brain snapped earlier because the pressure is on. Like I was like,
you have time.
I fucking froze like a deer in the headlights, and all my emotion drained out of my body today. I haven't had that happen in a long time. But anyway.
Okay.
Anyway.
So many moons ago, on the distant planet of Gygax, a nameless evil reigned supreme, and this ruthless being had amassed power beyond measure and was preparing to strike down all that was good and just in the universe. Before he could fulfill the dark destiny, the forces of light band together and in their most desperate hour toppled the Dark One from his throne. He was imprisoned in a place far beyond reach, for if he ever would be released, it would spell certain doom on all existence.
Go Power Rangers. I swear to God.
I do not touch on this in this movie, but it is definitely Power Rangers.
It feels like the opening to the Power Rangers is what you get here. Or like an opening to Masters of the Universe or something like that. And that's really what he was going for. You know, this movie definitely calls back to the 90s. And while the time setting is pretty loose, I mean, it's left a little ambiguous of what year it is or whatever, but it was made to feel like an early 90s movie, you know, so you could safely say that it takes place in the early 90s. That's why there are no modern technology. You know, you got tube TVs, you see them playing some old school video games later on. But Steven Kostanski, he went this route because that was the earliest time he remembers watching movies. That's how he grew up. You know, in the early 90s and stuff, catching Ninja Turtles, also
Power Rangers.
Yeah, Power Rangers and stuff like that. Catching a bit of Masters of the Universe here and there. And those fantasy sci-fi elements that are right in your face. And it has to be said that, like we've said twice already, this definitely has some fucking Power Ranger vibes.
Oh, yeah.
We are going for a guy in a suit.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. And that's the thing. Like most of the designs that inspired Steven Kostanski were stuff from, you know, the Japanese Super Sentai shows, which is what Power Rangers was based off of.
Oh, yeah.
Why is there so much Japanese references dropping in our episodes lately?
Because you're just diving deep into it.
I am deep diving into Japan, which that sounds terrible. Like they don't need another giant thing hitting them. That'd be awful. But anyway.
Okay, Godzilla wasn't real.
I can clear out a buffet, though. I'll tell you that. But he wasn't much concerned with making it look realistic, as more as just putting an emphasis on eye-catching and interesting. That's what he was going for. And I think this movie is definitely interesting. The way it looks and stuff like that.
Eye-catching, yeah.
And that's the weird part, because like normally some of these effects you would be like, oh, this is cheesy sci-fi stuff. But for some reason in this movie, it looks great.
Yeah, it doesn't look cheesy to me.
I don't know what that is. Like, why does it look so good?
I think maybe because it is supposed to look cheesy.
Maybe.
Is it supposed to look cheesy? I don't know.
You see, that's the thing. It's
I don't know.
I guess it's because it just has this whole movie, not really talking about the bits that we'll get into as we go, the comedic bits and stuff, but like just this whole look of this movie has a good sense of humor about it. You get into it, you're like, oh, this is not taking itself seriously. This is going to be a good time.
Right. So brother and sister Luke and Mimi are playing a game called Crazy Ball in their backyard. Mimi ends up winning and makes Luke dig a hole. It's night now, and he ends up digging up some glowing rock thing. Okay,
and was she having him dig his own grave? Is that what?
I think so.
Mimi's an asshole.
I think so. I didn't. It's hard to put all of her sass in here. Okay,
you fall in love with Mimi early on.
Oh,
like this character is so great, and so is her brother Luke. But it's just.
I'll try to remember some of the things and add them in there, but it was kind of hard to write.
Like we said, this is like Brittany said, it's kind of ADHD put on film because there's so much happening. There's so much coming at you.
Yeah.
It's not saying that like it's convoluted or anything like that, but it's just like.
No, there's a lot of dialogue.
It's very quippy.
There you go. Yeah. So he ends up digging up this glowing rock and Mimi gets it out of this case thing. She has to like put in this code and she gets it the first time. I was like, what?
It's like, okay.
Even Luke was like, what? I don't know. But now the hole in the ground that they got this gem out of is glowing.
Yeah.
So the kids are freaked out and they cover it up, like fill the hole back in. That's what I was trying to say. And Mimi ends up keeping the rock, the gem, whatever the fuck it's called.
So the gem here, by the way, to get this gem to glow, right? You would think this would be one of the easiest effects they'd have to tackle, but no, it was one of the hardest because I'll talk about the budget later on, but they had such a low budget that they had to figure out how to keep this thing glowing. So they had wires running to this rock, right? To make it glow.
Yeah.
But they had to keep shooting it in a way where the wires are hidden.
Right.
So like there's parts where people are holding it and they're wearing long sleeves and stuff like that. And just shit like that's going on so they can keep the wires hidden and stuff like that. I thought it was very genius.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But, early on, they are playing a game called Crazy Ball. Now, Crazy Ball, as much as I can tell, is a convoluted version of dodgeball. But there is a website, crazyball.org.
Oh my gosh.
That gives you the history of the sport. And I think for the first time on any podcast, a few rules for Crazy Ball are going to be laid out here. So here they are, according to the official Crazy Ball website. And this isn't the full list. These are just amendments to the full list that hasn't been published yet. It's coming soon.
So they don't know.
It's coming soon, according to the.
So they don't know. They're making it up as they go.
Yes. But apparently you can consult a universally recognized Crazy Ball champion and get that list from them.
Oh, the person that plays Mimi?
Yeah, definitely. Which, by the way, you guys, this is obviously a source of marketing that they put out. The marketing for this movie alone is like genius.
Oh, yeah.
It's so low budget marketing, but it's so funny. But anyway. So currently, only 2 provinces, Manitoba and Ontario, have adopted the unified rules as drafted by the Crazy Ball Athletic Council of Canada in 2018. Amendments to the official rules include the following. 1. Assemble 2 teams, each with an equal number of players. 2. After calling out ready, set, and Crazy Ball, each team throws their balls as far away from the other team as possible. 3, players then run and grab the ball that the opposing player threw and try to hit their opponents with them. You can only hit your opponents with the balls that they started with. You cannot pick up and use the balls that you started with. All right, following me?
Okay.
All right. 4, certain colors will correspond with each team per the approval of a certified game lord. If you get hit, you have to take the offending ball and only that ball, hold it against your head, and spin around in a full circle while yelling crazy ball 3 times. This is called the crazy spin. Now, 5. Everybody with me. When a player successfully hits an opposing player, you can perform jumping jacks while the opposing player is conducting a crazy spin. Each jumping jack awards that player's team a point. 6, if a player gets hit with any ball while doing jumping jacks, they become snarfed.
Oh, shit.
They still earn points they got up to that point, but must cease jumping. If the player that got snarfed manages to catch the ball that snarfed them, then they get a snarf point. 3 snarf points equal 1 normal point.
Oh, okay.
What are we on? 7?
I don't know.
7. Some leagues permit a 5-point butt bonus. When a player successfully hits their opponent's posterior with a ball, this is quite common in Winnipeg League play. Now,
Okay.
Now, 8. If the balls of 2 opposing players collide, then they can perform what is called a switcheroo. The 2 players run at each other, and whoever is able to punch the opposing player first gets all the opposing team's points plus 1. I feel like we could all play this in our backyard.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little violent, but yeah.
Each round in Crazy Ball is 1 minute, and there are a maximum number of 30 rounds per game. A certified game lord keeps time for each round, and in their absence, the timing is at the discretion of the universally recognized Crazy Ball champion.
Me.
Me. At the end of each round, the points are counted, and during this time, each team has the opportunity to drop a ham, which means they select one player to challenge a specific player to a standoff.
Oh.
Now, during this drop in the ham, the 2 players stand back to back, and when told to drop by a certified game lord, they walk 5 paces, then turn and throw the ball at the opposing player. Whoever gets hit in this standoff gets a ham. 10 snarf points. Each team can drop a ham only once per game, and it must be done in between rounds. Whichever team reaches 67 points first wins, or is closest to 67 points after 30 rounds.
30 rounds?
So how's everybody doing? Who's ready to play some crazy ball?
I'd have to stop and ask what the rules were. I was listening to you, but it got lost.
Well, Pandora later is going to have to...
I got lost at like snarf points and shit.
You explain the switcheroo again.
I don't know. Half of this they don't even fucking show.
I know. Well, you got to go to the official Crazy Ball website. Well, anyway, back to the movie.
Okay. So the kids have to go inside for bed, and Luke asks his parents if monsters are real. His dad, Greg, says that humans are actually the real monsters, so the answer is yes. What?
It's just the dad, man.
I know, the dad.
This fucking movie.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Oh, we'll get to it, yeah.
So then the parents are putting Mimi to bed, and she also asks if monsters are real. So the parents are a little skeptical about what's going on now. So after they all go to bed, a hand comes out of the ground of the hole that they dug. So then it goes to an abandoned, what was it, shoe warehouse?
Yeah, it's an abandoned like warehouse thing, like that serves.
Yeah.
There's only really what I like about this movie. There's only really like 5 locations.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Yeah, there's not a whole ton. You know, I think we got the school, we got a diner, we have this warehouse, and we have their house, and then the woods. You know,
Right.
which
The school.
yeah, well, a little bit of the school. There's an exterior shot of the school.
Oh, okay. And okay,
yeah,
I was
where
like,
they're playing
what?
basketball later.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Duh. I wasn't thinking about that being the school. So in an abandoned building are some homeless guys, I guess, and they're fighting about what they can pawn. Then we see this big monster creature thing show up, and the main guy that's there, the like leader of the homeless people. I don't
The
fucking
leader
know.
of the homeless. The leader of the
I don't
hobos.
know. He says, we've already killed somebody tonight, and we're not afraid to do it again.
Which so these are stabbing hobos is what we're talking about, not singing hobos. Like, I think we talked about that on Shooting the Shit.
Oh,
your
the singing
differences
hobos?
between singing hobos and stabbing hobos.
These are stabbing hobos.
I like how you said leader of the homeless people. Like, do homeless people typically have a leader?
I don't know if it's the leader, but he was like the boss
King
guy.
homeless.
He was the one yelling at them because of stuff that they took to pawn.
Yeah, true. Okay.
So I don't know.
So these aren't your friendly neighborhood hobos. Like,
No.
Yeah.
You're gonna get stabbed.
Yeah. Stabbing hobos.
Well, I mean, PG's not gonna get stabbed because he ends up pulling off 2 of their heads. I did not expect this.
I was gonna say, did you expect the level of gore that this movie delivers?
No.
Because
I did not.
I wasn't expecting it either. I think the name PG threw me off. Because I mean, that's what was funny to Steven was a PG and an R-rated movie, you know,
Right.
just that rating tacked onto an R-rated movie. And I think it really threw me off because what I heard about this movie was that it was like it was almost a family film.
Right.
And I was like, huh. I was like, well, I'll give it a chance, you know. And so I watched it on Shudder, and I was like, this is so good. This is not what I thought. And so it shocks you when this shit happens.
Right. I really think we need to let the kids watch this.
I think so too. I think this is. I don't know, because like. I don't know how you guys out there feel about violence, but to me, it's not that bad. I don't know.
Well, all of our kids have a good grasp on like that's not real.
Right. Well, and this is so over the top.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The violence in this is so over the top where it's almost a cartoon. Like,
Yeah, and I'm sorry, they don't see these Power Ranger alien people every fucking day, so
no, exactly. Yeah.
it's gonna
not
be okay.
real. We're gonna be all right, guys.
Right?
You know, you can't actually make a sword out of fucking Robo Angel's body parts.
Why not?
That'd be cool. And it is
Right.
cool to see. Like, that's the thing that sums up this movie is like, these are all the things I wanted to see in my childhood cartoons
Right.
and my Power Rangers and stuff, but they never did it. You know, they never pulled the plug on it, but here we go.
Right. That makes sense, yeah. Anyway, so the creature pulls off 2 of their heads and then tells the other guy that he's going to make him live forever. But we don't get to see what happens yet.
And
They cut the scenes a lot.
we figure it out here in a little bit.
Yes.
But like, you know, PG has a little bit of a Wishmaster streak going on with him. I don't know. You're not familiar with Wishmaster, but I know our
No.
listeners are. So I definitely feel like just the amount of throwbacks that Steven Kostanski tosses in this movie. There is a lot of callbacks to other horror movies and stuff like that. I wonder if just because there's these things where like somebody wishes something to him and then he grants it, but it's fucked up what he grants, you know, like later on with Alistair. Like, I don't know. I feel like this might be a throwback to Wishmaster, but you know, it could be me just reading into it. I don't know.
I don't know either. I didn't put those together. But.
Yeah. But what's great about this movie is the gore. Like we said, it's
Oh,
insane. Yeah. It's over the top, and it really does just add to the comedy, actually. Like, this is really weird. With PG, Kostanski really made an effort to create something that was unpredictable. That was his goal. And he likes doing that with his movies. And I'll fucking throw it out there that like any of his movies you see, you do not know how it's going to play out. Predictable is not a word you throw on one of his films.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And this one's the same. You know, it makes the film feel fresh throughout. But, you know, PG here, our hero, the approach to designing him was to make a live action version of a toy you'd want to buy, along with all the other creatures in this movie. It's all stuff that you would wanted to buy at the store as an action figure, you know, and that's why I think he does look like just this giant action figure. I mean, there's they painted him like this purplish kind of gray color.
Yeah.
Kind of like, and he said, Steven Kostanski said he got that idea from Alien, like the way the alien looks, its color and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he kind of did that. And then he also he has this cracks in his skin, and he painted that with this luminescent ink, which is pink and stuff, and it glows in the dark. So there are scenes in this movie where they had to take a UV light and shine it on PG. And they
That
wanted
makes
to,
sense.
yeah, he wanted to have it throughout, but to keep that light on him and keep it close enough, it would make him look weird. It kind of like made the rest of him look purple. Like,
Oh,
so,
okay,
yeah.
yeah. That makes sense.
He also has a like a huge fascination with spines, if you haven't noticed in this movie.
So the next morning, the parents and the kids are looking at the hole, and the dad says that it's a great hole, but it's unacceptable and that someone's going to have to fill it in. They all vote for dad. Then the mom sees the claw marks in the dirt, and they just decide that it was either a raccoon or some drunk bum
Do you typically
Just
have drunk bums wandering
in your
into your
backyard.
backyard?
What the hell?
I would hate that.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about hobos today, apparently, but like, wouldn't it suck if like some hobos wandered into your fucking yard?
I had a hobo.
You
one
had
day.
a hobo?
Well, I
wander
don't know.
into your yard?
Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know if it was a hobo.
Oh, I was
I'll
like,
tell
oh my
you.
God.
The reason I think that is
Okay.
I went outside to let the dog out one time,
Uh-huh.
way before I even knew you,
Okay.
and there was a backpack in my backyard. Backpack I'd never seen, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?" So I go and investigate the backpack, which I probably shouldn't have, but whatever. And it's got jewelry in it. And it looks like jewelry from a jewelry box that has been dumped over into this backpack. So I'm looking further, and there's a laptop, this jewelry, and food like peanut butter, tortillas, a knife, like a butter knife.
What's he doing with the butter knife?
Probably spreading it on his tortilla.
Oh, yeah. You said tortilla.
Yes.
The hobo's got to eat.
Yeah. That's what it seemed like. Had like some granola bars and stuff. And I was like, did a homeless thief like just fucking drop their backpack in my backyard? Like,
Oh, that sucks.
yeah, I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do.
And what's really spooky is that some important stuff. Tortillas and butter knives.
Uh-huh.
Why did he leave it? Bum, bum, bum.
Well, that's what I wanted to know too. Why did he leave all of this stuff unless the police were chasing him or something?
Or an intergalactic space alien turned his friend inside out.
But wouldn't his friend still be in my backyard at that point?
Coyotes? I don't.
We didn't have coyotes.
Anyway.
Anyway, so I called non-emergency and I was like, I found this in my
I had a
yard.
hobo infestation. Can I get a hobo expert out here?
Well, come to find out, an old lady had been robbed.
Oh.
And they did dump her jewelry box like in the backpack or
Oh,
whatever. Wow. And they were able to return her jewelry.
Hey, there you go. You solved the crime.
Not really.
Oh, yeah, because where'd he go? Bum, bum, bum.
That's what I thought.
And he's still living in your attic today.
I don't live there.
Oh, okay, never mind. So we're safe.
What?
We're safe. Marked safe from hobos. Everybody, we're all
Only
right.
today.
Only today. Oh, God.
0 days safe from
Night of the Horrorphile is never going to get a humanitarian award. I'll let you know that.
You know they don't like to be called hobos anymore, right?
Is hobo a term of endearment? I wasn't quite sure. I think if I was homeless, hobo would be nice. I'd want to be called a hobo.
I think they want to be
know.
called unhoused.
What? The unhoused?
Uh-huh.
That sounds scary. That sounds like a horror movie. The unhoused.
Yeah.
You won't escape the unhoused this fall. That's what that sounds like. But like, oh man, there's like a whole hobo lingo. Why are we talking about hobos?
Anyway,
Let's get back to
the movie.
PG. Okay.
Anyway, so the kids are walking to school, and Luke thinks that they might need to call the cops. Mimi says that she doesn't trust the cops, and they're going to search for themselves.
Good on her. But now, okay, first of all, the kid acting in this film is chef's kiss.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about this many times on the show, is you can fuck up your movie with the wrong kids.
Oh, yeah.
I hate to tell everybody. I hate to do it. And I hate to do it to him because he seems like a very nice guy. But Macaulay Culkin sucked as an actor.
He was annoying.
Yeah, he just was not good.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone has ever seen the movie The Good Son, but Elijah Wood is carrying that movie.
I'm not surprised. Elijah Wood's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, he's very good. But anyway, we don't need a Culkin fucking the shit up. So, and somehow Kostanski picked the best child actors I've ever fucking seen in a movie.
Oh my God, yes.
Our little firecracker, Mimi, is played by Nita-Josee Hanna. Now, she had been dancing and singing since the age of 3, and of course, always wanted to perform. And in 2018, she won Best Monologue, Best Commercial, Best Kids Casting, and Best Dancer in the Canadian Model and Talent Convention in Toronto. In fact, I think she got first place in singing and child acting.
Oh, wow.
It was after that she realized she had a knack for, well, performance and acting and stuff like that. And in fact, Nita is a very fast learner and memorizes lines quickly. You know, and apparently on set, she not only remembered her lines and the stage directions of her character, but also memorized those of her fellow actors.
She's like, you're not supposed to be doing that.
And all this in a tiny little 12-year-old who really does steal this movie.
Oh my gosh, so much.
You know, because like, and I'm sure this is what he was going for, but PG, the Psycho Goreman, he's more of the straight man of this whole thing. Once we get started, he's the straight man of this whole situation, which is quite different than what you would expect.
It's so funny.
Well, because typically you would expect that like the world and it does, and the parents, you know, the parents react to him, but like you would expect that the whole world around him would be reacting to this monster from another universe,
right?
But it's the other way around.
They're all reacting.
He's
to Mimi.
he's reacting to everyone else and
Right.
reacting to Mimi, and it's so great. But of course, we also have to highlight Luke here, played by Owen Myre, and he became a movie buff at around the age of 3. I don't know who's raising these people, but damn. But he memorized movie quotes and started studying directors and actors all through his young life. In
Wow.
fact, at just 14 years old, he has wrote his own script for a feature-length coming-of-age film called 14. Filming is finished up, and that movie should be coming out pretty soon.
Oh, I will watch that.
Yeah, and also, he's going to be in, you can check out Owen in Terrifier 2. I don't know the extent of his character. Hopefully, he doesn't get murdered by Art the Clown too much, but but he's going to be in that movie too. So, like, I don't know. I don't know how he lucked out and got these the savants?
I guess so.
And, you know, and just they're so good in this movie.
Yes.
It's not what I thought.
Luke is great at playing like this scary kind of character.
Yeah.
He's like, he's just a shadow of his sister, but like a character all on his own. I don't know how to explain it.
And apparently, you know, Steven Kostanski said that like they brought so much energy to the set. You know, like,
oh, I bet they did.
They were so spunky and stuff like that. And they had such a good time. And if you notice throughout this movie, it seems like it's very rainy. Like there's a lot of rain and stuff. It's very overcast and stuff. That is not what they were going for to begin with. Like what he wanted was like an E.T. the Extraterrestrial, all sunny and happy and clear skies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't work out that way. So like that beginning scene, they're fucking playing in the mud and shit. Like that was not on purpose. Like it was just muddy that day, and that's what they had to work with because it's such a low budget film. And so like they had a blast working with all this and working with the monsters and stuff like that.
Hell yeah.
And thinking back, I was like, that would have been a dream just to get to work on a set with all these monsters and gore. That would have been so much fun.
Yes, I agree. That's awesome. So later that night, they go looking for what crawled out of the hole. The kids did, sorry. They noticed it went through the fence. And I want to know, why did they not notice it went through the fence in the daytime? I don't know. So they follow it into the woods. I don't know. It doesn't tell us, but that's fine. And it leads them to the abandoned building.
Well, that's one of the things that Kostanski said. He was like, nobody ever complains about it, but like he was like, I have no establishing shots for how they get places.
Right.
And he really doesn't.
No.
Like, I mean, there's a montage later that shows them walking down the street, but it doesn't show. But there's no establishing shots.
No.
And so like they'll just end up in places, which is really funny. And the reason for that is a lot of this was shot at a house, and I believe it was a house of his one of his executive producers. And so they shot this at a house, and all the locations are not that far from his house.
Oh, okay.
So like some of the road scenes when you see them driving in the truck later, that's just the street outside the house.
Oh,
the
that's
woods,
cool.
it's like a block away. Like they just had to trudge through the woods to get to the locations and stuff in there.
That's cool.
So yeah, so a lot of it's all kind of localized.
And it kind of made me feel like the nostalgia of the 90s and the kids being able to wander and do whatever they wanted to, and the parents weren't worried about what was going on.
Right, because I remember doing that. If you listen to Shooting the Shit, I've already told like 4 stories of like unsupervised wandering.
Right. So Luke is scared to go into the building, but Mimi is spunky, and she's like, I'm going in. She says the most dangerous thing in there is her.
It's fucking
It's
true.
kinda true.
It's true. Nothing phases Mimi in this movie. Nothing phases her. She sees the most fucked up shit, and Luke is reacting the way you should react, and she's just like,
Whatever.
It's nothing. And if you see in that earlier scene when they're in her bedroom, I loved how they decorated you got to give props to the set directors or decorators too,
Right.
because they did such a wonderful job at putting these little like kind of Easter eggy things in there. Like if you look around her room, she has these fucked up drawings where she's drawn like knives through people's faces.
What?
And then there's like a severed baby doll head on her bedpost.
What
It's
the hell? That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they turn around and they see this monster guy thing.
Yeah, it's the guy that PG didn't exactly kill.
Oh, the one that he didn't kill. Yeah.
And the way this dude looks, he like, I don't know what he did to him, but he turned him inside out, and he's sitting there. And by the way, the practical effects in this movie are wonderful.
Yeah.
And he's standing there all turned inside out, and his eyeballs are just rolling around in his head. It's the funniest, most grotesque thing you'll ever see.
Right. He tells them that they will suffer like everyone else, and goes into this big long speech thing. Well, Mimi just tells him to shut it in the middle of it. She doesn't want to hear it. She's just like, shut it.
There's so many times she cuts him off.
Yes. Well, they notice that this rock or gem, it's a gem, in her pocket is glowing. So he goes to throw a trash can at her to get the gem back, but she tells him to explain. She's like, no, what's going on? And he says, whoever has the gem it's called the gem of peroxidase, has the power to make him do whatever they want. Well, Mimi wants to know his name, and he says that sometimes his enemies call him the Archduke of Nightmares. And he's like, no, that's not going to do. She doesn't like it. So she's trying to figure out, her and Luke are trying to figure out a different name. And they come up with Psycho Goreman. And they call him PG for short.
That's definitely like taken from like E.T. and then like Rawhead Rex. Just these way outrageous fucking names, for these creatures.
So Mimi tells him to sit down, shut up, and wait for them to come back in the morning. Because she's in control now.
Yes, and he has to fucking do it. Because like, and I love that because he fucking has him like, they have him running in place and shit.
She was like, clap, forever. And then she's thinking, and she's like, "Stop that annoying clapping." What?
She's so fucking funny. She really does steal this entire movie, which is so funny. Matthew Ninaber, who plays our anti-hero PG here, had to endure the makeup and body applications for about 30 days of the shoot. And of course, we all know that it takes hours, like 4 to 7 hours to get this stuff on and to get it off at the end of the day. So Matthew would be showing up, on the set long before anyone else did. He'd be there before everybody with the makeup crew, and then he'd be there long after everybody with the makeup crew to get all that shit off of him.
Oh, that sucks.
That stuff was sticky because you got to remember this is like prosthetics and stuff stuck to his body and stuff. And so like he did it so much that he would actually have like little raw patches from it. He said it was like a 9th circle of hell he was in.
Oh no.
And how like he had to at some moments just kind of zone out. Like, so in between shots, he would just be sitting there just kind of like
trying not to freak out
because you're in this like it's like you're wearing a big old sweatsuit of somebody else's. That's disgusting.
Oh, that would suck.
But like I said, he was on set before and on set after, and it got to the point where no one actually knew what he looked like in real life. So one day he shows up on set when his call time was partway through the day, and security wouldn't let him in because they didn't recognize him. And he's like, "What? How do you? I'm the main character, and you don't."
You're not Mimi.
Luckily, somebody got him in there. But cast and crew said, with all the shit he had to deal with, he was never in a bad mood. Even though, like I said, he was in just the 9th layer of goddamn hell doing this. And this was his first time playing a creature. Playing a creature with this much prosthetics.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah. Now, while Matthew does provide the physicality, and by the way, he does a great job at that. I mean, you got to remember, you got to work extra hard to get like facial expressions to come through all that latex and foam and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he does a wonderful job at it.
Yes.
Steven Vlahos created the voice for PG. They basically took his voice and made it that it's like an early Saturday morning cartoon type of villain voice.
Yes.
And you got to throw props to the special effects and visual effects departments for this entire movie. What they have done here is pretty amazing with that budget,
That's where all their budget went, which was fine because that's all it really needed to go to.
Well, we'll get to it. It's not where all their budget went.
Oh.
Which is very interesting. I'll talk about it at the end.
So the kids leave and they're talking about how Mimi wants to take PG out on the town. She wants to show him off and be the coolest kid in school. And Luke says, you can't do that because he will kill everyone. And she reminds him that she holds the power. And she says that she wants to teach him neat tricks and stuff to do.
Well, okay.
What?
So, like, when you were little, like, how excited would you be if you had your own alien like this? Well,
if I had the power, like Mimi does, he'd be doing all my chores.
I was going to say, you'd go on a power trip like this?
Yes. He'd be doing all my chores. We would go anywhere I wanted to go because I wouldn't be scared to go anywhere.
She's a little Brittany wandering around this giant alien.
Just doing whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah, it would have been dangerous for me. It would have been a bad idea for me to have this much power. Like, I was a bullied little fat kid. There would have been a lot of child death.
We get a little bit.
You would have seen it because this is long before we even knew each other existed. So you would have just been like a little kid watching the news. It's like a purple naked man ran through the school murdering children with a fat kid on his shoulders. Kill that one, PG. Kill that one. He took my lunch. I don't know why I sound
writing him like Falcor. That's what I imagined.
To the moon. Why do I sound like Joker for the Batman the Animated Series?
I don't know.
Kill the other one, PG.
What the hell?
Let's kill that teacher who told me I wouldn't amount to anything. Fuck that one.
Frig off.
Frig off.
So we are now in Gygax. And these fucking alien things are they're like the alien elders or something like that.
I absolutely love this. Like,
Yes.
if they had nothing but a movie of this,
Oh yeah.
it would be amazing. And there's I'm sorry, I gotta laugh for a second. But one of them in the special features, I believe his name is what is it, Codex?
I don't know.
Or something like that. But he's like the main kind of foppish looking one who talks like this. And he in the special features to this Blu-ray, they have an interview with him. And I think you watched part of it with me where he's sitting there talking, I really respect Trump. he looks at the civil, the people on earth as kind of how I look at them, just like servants to get through, to get his job done, really, to get him ahead. But they could make an entire series based on this council. And I would watch the ever-loving shit out of that.
Yes. So they're talking about how the ultimate evil has been released. They say that they should have been less merciful on him and removed him from the galaxy. Pandora comes in and says that there's no trial for him now. He shall die by her hand. And one of the creatures is making fun of her.
And this is this guy that I was just talking about.
And he thinks that she can't do it. So this pisses her off. So she grabs him and almost kills him. And then she asks her like assistant robot thing for a human. She's like, I want to see the creatures on this planet. What?
And this poor lady, they just walk in.
He brings her this lady. She molds this woman into like a cube thing and then smashes it on the table. There's blood everywhere.
It is fucking insane, man. Like, I've never seen anyone get cubed before.
No.
So that was very fun. And like I said, it's not that it looks realistic, like it doesn't.
Right.
But it's just, I don't know. It's just so interesting to look at.
Right.
Like that's the thing that sets us apart from just a shitty sci-fi movie or something like that.
Because we didn't expect that.
Like, whoa.
But then she takes the blood that's on her hands and smears it on her face. And by the way, this Pandora person, she is like really tall. It's a Power Ranger monster kind of thing.
She looks like
not a monster,
she
but
looks like a. If any of you are familiar with a lot of the Japanese stuff, like she looks like a Gundam.
Okay.
Like, which is this robot kind of thing.
Oh yeah,
it's in a
she's like
anime.
this robot thing. She's got wings and she's all white.
Oh yeah.
And so when she smears this blood on her face, it's like so creepy because it's
really
the red
is.
on the
like,
white.
It really is. Like this movie does have like little moments where it's like, ew. Like these things are really creepy. But what's great about this is like all these aliens look completely different from each other.
Yes.
And of course, like you even got like a little stop motion little alien that comes in and shit like that. And I gotta say, one of my favorite is the Tube Man. Where it's like this brain thing in a tube and he's like a robot the rest of his body.
Yeah.
It's the funniest fucking thing, especially his reactions to stuff. Because while she's like rubbing the blood on her face, the Codex guy like puts his fucking hand over the brain's eyes like he's seeing something terrible.
Yes.
And a lot of these things are fucking puppets, but it's just, it adds to the hilarity. It's just so much fun. Like that's the thing. This movie's just so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Like, and he got, Kostanski, he got his idea for these things based on all those sci-fi movies, where the aliens sit around and they just talk about a bunch of crap that really has nothing to do with the plot. And they kind of do here before she starts getting into it. They just start talking about stuff that really has no weight on the story, but like it's there. It's just fun. And the planet itself, Gygax, like I said, there's so many little references to stuff in this movie. And I feel like that's got to be an homage to Gary Gygax, which is one of the creators of Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, okay.
Pandora, though, like you said, she's like this robot angel thing. And she's part of the Templars, which are basically like the religious zealots of this planet, I think.
Yeah.
Which, well, the Templars are no more. I think she's the last, isn't she?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, for a little bit. But but she looks like she stepped right out of Guyver 2, which is another Japanese movie that's maybe obscure. I don't know. It probably has its fans. But she's played physically by Kristen McCullough, and which, by the way, she's a wonderful actress. She follows us on Twitter.
Oh, nice.
It's interesting. But in this movie, we have it the opposite. Where the good guys, these are supposed to be the good guys. And these are, well, traditionally, these would probably be technically your good guys because they're going after
the ultimate evil.
The ultimate evil and stuff like that. But it's reversed on you.
Yeah.
Like, so where like the bad guys are kind of the good guys. Well, one of the bad guys are the good guys.
What does Mimi say later? She's like evil and extra evil or something like that.
That's kind of what it is. This alien, like I said, the alien in the red robe, which I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but like I said, he's the foppish kind of one. But he's played by Matt Kennedy, who is Manborg. I've been discussing Manborg through this whole thing, and you guys really got to check that movie out. But he played Manborg before this, and they were only going to have one little sequence with this council.
Oh, yeah.
was the original idea, but they loved it so much they ended up adding more as they went. You know, a lot of after this was shot, like all the extra stuff you see with the council, that was added after they shot the movie. You know, so they went like that's the amazing part about this movie. It's shot all out of sequence.
Oh, wow.
Like everything's shot out of sequence. The kids are sometimes shot separately because, you know, there's child labor laws in movies. And so like they had to shoot different things. So sometimes they're shooting PG and the kids aren't even there.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And then they're shooting the kids and maybe PG is not even there. Right. You know, so all this is shot out of sequence, but it comes together so perfectly.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Like, I don't notice anything wrong here. Like, that's the crazy part.
So Mimi, Luke, and their friend Alistair are going to see PG and bring him a TV.
Which, by the way, poor Luke is having to lug this fucking giant TV set.
Through the fucking woods.
Yeah.
Oh, poor kid. So they go in and they think he's asleep. And when Mimi wakes him up or whatever, he acts like he's going to attack her. But she just tells him to stop. And he has to. So they brought him some magazines to read with hunky boys in them. And he says he does not care about hunky boys. But then he looks at it again. He thinks, maybe I do like hunky boys.
He's like, I do not care for hunky boys. He's like, looks at it, he's like, or do I? Which of course the physicality acting of Matthew here is fucking amazing. You can actually buy a Hunky Boys poster online. I've considered it, but I don't think anybody would know what I'm going for.
They'd be like, what are you
all right, man.
Oh my gosh.
Not my Hunky Boys. I've been saying hunky boys for like ages now. There's been a few points of time where I have made a hunky boys reference and Brittany has not known what the fuck I've been talking about.
And here we are.
Not my hunky boys.
So Luke asks PG what he is, and PG sits down and tells them the story of how he was born a slave to these people called the Templars.
And you got to appreciate the fact that he sits down and they all sit down around him like it's fucking story time. Yes. I fucking love that.
It's awesome. So basically the Templars are these rich religious leaders.
Yeah.
And he says one day everything changed when he discovered the gem of peroxidase. And I know I'm saying that wrong.
It's fine.
It's like peroxidase or something like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. He says the gem gave him freedom and he destroyed the Templars. He raised an army and took back Gygax. He said that this wasn't enough though, and he took down all the other galaxies, and he was then overthrown by the Templars alliance, and they stole the gem from him.
And through this thing, man, these flashback sequences, they didn't think they were going to be so elaborate, you know, because they were like, okay, we just got to throw up some vignettes, you know, like little pieces here and there. It'll be just fine. They ended up, it's a mix of miniature models and after VFX, which is basically just like the lights and stuff added in, you know, to smooth it out and stuff, to make it more dynamic. But like the miniature models of the pyramids and shit like that, and just the work they did by having like in this slave pit and shit, it's so good. Yes. It turned out a lot more elaborate than they thought it was going to be. And a few of the tentacles you see that, which by the way, they're sitting, it's not really quite clear what they're doing in the slave pit.
Right.
They're like mining tentacles or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, these tentacles you see, those are puppets and stuff. There's a lot of puppet work in this movie.
That's nice.
Which is something you don't see much anymore. You know,
right.
I don't feel like a lot of people do this anymore. But when PG's chest opens, that's a puppet too. Like that's just a practical effect.
Oh, that's
right there.
cool.
Yeah, it's like wires and stuff hooked to it.
Nice.
And they use practical effects more often than they do the VFX. Like I think they do it pretty good here to where they use the After Effects to like really smooth over and complement the practical effects,
right.
You know?
Right. So Mimi then says that the story's boring and she tells him to watch TV and be more fun. So the kids leave, and PG uses the power to the TV to tell his people that he is alive and the gem has been stolen. And someone answers him back and says that they will find them. Then we get this scene where the family is having dinner together. And I was not going to include the scene, but it actually is kind of significant. Anyway, they're having dinner together and Alistair's there too. And Greg, the dad, he's so proud of the chicken that he's cooked in the microwave for them. That's so gross.
That's so gross. He's like, Luke's like, he's like, how you enjoying your chicken, Luke? And he's like, it's a little tough. It'll do that. But it sure brings out the flavor. Which, Mike, can you cook chicken in a microwave? Is that fucking possible? Can you cook it? Can you actually cook raw stuff in a microwave?
You can.
Yeah.
It's not going to taste good, but you can. Oh, it's so gross. So after dinner, Mimi goes outside and PG shows up. Luke sees what's going on and says that PG can't be there. And Mimi commands that PG make the boys play basketball with her. So PG turns Alistair into this huge brain thing. And the mom sees this and starts freaking out.
Yes.
Susan, that's her name.
Which, by the way, Alexis Hansey plays Susan and Adam Brooks plays Greg. And they do a fucking wonderful job in this.
Oh, yes.
Because what's great about this movie is like when it cuts to mom and dad, it's like you just seen like some fucked up sci-fi shit happening. Yes. And then it cuts to this, which is those two just at each other through this whole movie. And Greg is just completely fucking clueless. He's so goddamn clueless to this whole thing because there's a moment here where she opens the microwave and she sees the chicken is exploded in this fucking microwave and she's like, Greg, what happened to the microwave? It's like, I cooked my family a delicious meal. That's what happened. Oh my God. And it's so fucking weird because she's like, what does she say? She's like something about cleaning it up.
She said, like, I can't clean this up. We're going to have to get rid of this microwave. And he doesn't give a shit.
No. Oh.
It's pretty great. Pretty great.
Oh. Like I said, they wanted this to be super sunny and stuff, but they got that overcast. Mm-hmm. And luckily that happened because that knocks a lot of light off the suit. And so it looks good still, even out in the broad daylight. But like, I think that's like they just lucked out because like Kostanski said, he wanted all the sunshine and stuff, but it turned out that the overcast was perfect for this.
Right.
Like, and I wouldn't want it any sunnier than it is.
No.
We do get a little sunshine here. You kind of see it, but luckily it's lighting the back of him and stuff like that, which it still looks good. But
Susan comes running out and she hits PG with this baseball bat and it just breaks.
He barely reacts.
Right. Well, Greg sees this happen. He comes out. He's like, not my baseball bat or whatever.
Because again, he's so fucking clueless.
He's like, doesn't care about what's happening.
My baseball bat.
Well, the parents start to freak out and Greg's like, we should call the police. Well, Mimi tells PG not to hurt her parents and she says to them that he won't hurt anyone. He's just a big softy. And PG's trying to explain his whole life has been built on death and destruction.
Yeah, he's like threatening to kill them this entire time.
The whole time. And Mimi's just like, oh, he's just messing around.
Which is great because Matthew Ninaber, he plays this character straight.
Right.
That's what really helps with these scenes and stuff like that because he plays it seriously. Even when things get so fucking ridiculous, he still plays it seriously. It's so good.
This is like the equivalent of like middle-aged white lady that has like a mean ass chihuahua.
Yes. Oh, he
and
won't do it.
He won't hurt anybody. He won't hurt
nobody. He wouldn't hurt a fly.
Meanwhile, he's like biting your toes off.
Yeah, it's like I think he's gonna chew my nuts off, lady. But But no, and we commented, I think, on one of our shows, one of the many shows we fucking do. I don't know which one at this point, but we talked about how it's been a while since we've seen a comedy, like a good comedy. And even though they didn't aim to make this it's meant to be funny, but they didn't aim to make a straight comedy or anything like that, because comedy's hard to write.
Right.
But I feel like with this, it is the funniest thing I've seen in a long time.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It's just
hilarious.
that right amount of dumb. You know what I mean? It's just the right amount of dumb.
Our next scene.
This is the montage.
What is this band's name?
I don't think they have a name.
The Psycho Goreman band.
That sounds like something that would open for Paul McCartney or something in the 60s. And now the Psycho Goreman band. There's some bad acid circulating in the crowd, man. Don't eat the bad acid, all right?
Just
Thank you.
Good acid.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so
Peace.
the kids have a band.
Yes.
Alistair, the brain,
Psycho Goreman band. I'm sorry. It's too much. It's too much. Okay, sorry.
So Alistair as the brain is on the keyboard.
Please explain why this is the funniest. This fucking brain playing the keyboard, it's just got me.
You know what he looks like?
What?
He looks like Meatball from...
He does, from Aqua Teen.
Yes.
Yeah.
But with legs.
Yeah.
But he can't walk on those legs. They're like
because
tentacles
what we're
or
talking
whatever.
about, if you're listening to this and you haven't seen Psycho Goreman, it's like this big old brain monster thing with these googly eyes that move around. And it's made out of foam and latex and shit. But it's sitting here with these tentacle things and it's slapping this keyboard.
That's so funny. Ooh. Well, okay. So PG is on the drums, Luke is playing the guitar, and Mimi is singing. And the song's like, I'm the heckin' best.
Yes.
Because they do not cuss
Yeah, they don't
in
cuss.
this movie at
And
all.
the song's called Frig Off.
Frig off.
Frig off. Frig yourself.
So then, as they're singing this song
Yeah.
or whatever, we get this montage of the kids hanging out with PG, doing normal everyday things. And then this kid,
The part where he blows up the kid, man.
that's what I was gonna say. The kid's like, hey, it's not Halloween. And he just blows this kid up in the middle of the street. And nobody says or does anything.
Were they eating ice cream on the way?
Ooh. Then at the end of the song, PG ends up throwing a ball because they're playing crazy ball,
Yeah.
I think. And he ends up throwing the ball and it goes through the house because he threw it so hard. And it ends up smashing the TV. And Greg freaks the fuck out.
It's one of my favorite type of scenes where it goes on a little too long,
Yeah.
but it's perfect. You can fuck this kind of thing up.
Oh, yeah.
Like this little comedic bit where a scene goes on too long, but it's just so fucking funny because he's freaking out. He's like, man, what the fuck, man? He just starts crying.
I mean, what would you do? What would you do?
It's true.
Ooh.
Oh, God. Oh, I'm sorry. But the music here was done by Blitz Berlin, and they aren't new to working on music for film. In fact, they worked on The Void, and Kostanski's earlier picture, Bad Times at El Royale, and the upcoming Day of the Dead television series premiering on the Sci-Fi Channel. I think they call it just Sci-Fi now. I don't think they call it the Sci-Fi Channel. I'm old. But I'm so old. I remember when the Sci-Fi Channel was nothing but Star Trek and Tales from the Crypt reruns.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and they used to have
Nice.
horror marathons and stuff like that. Now they got their own programming and shit. I think everybody has their own dedicated programming on their channels now. But the aim for the music here definitely is inspired by early 80s, late 80s, early 90s type of rock, and and definitely the Power Rangers.
So fucking much.
There's
yes.
definitely some Power Rangers because you get that thrash guitar going. There's a lot of that. And I dare any of you not to have frig off stuck in your head for at least a few days after this movie.
On the heckin' best.
Yeah.
Frig off. Oh, it's great.
Oh, by the way, Brain Alistair is actually played by Steven's assistant crammed into this brain suit. So that's somebody in this suit, like crawling around like as a brain. And we'll accept later, when the brain walks into the forest.
Yeah.
That's something I didn't think I'd ever say. The brain just walks into the forest. More like slithers. I don't think it's actually walking, but
and there's it's like a slug because there's like slime behind it.
It's
What?
hard. It's hard not. Some of you guys are like, why are you guys giggling? It's so
it's
hard not to talk about
hilarious.
this. Yeah. And that's what I meant by I don't think they set off to really make such a funny movie.
Right.
Like, I know they made it silly and light and stuff, and they knew comedy was there, but I don't think they set out. Some of this stuff plays for jokes that I don't think was meant really to play a joke, because everybody's playing this straight.
Right.
And that's what makes this so ridiculous.
But it's great.
It's fucking amazing.
This is my kind of comedy.
Yes. This is it, man. And, well, as you see the brain slithering into the forest, that was actually the director himself in the suit at that point. So,
okay.
He shared some of the pain.
Good. So the kids and PG are at a diner now, and PG just grabs this plate and crushes it and eats the whole thing, but he opens his mouth really wide. And Luke's like, is this how you eat normally? And he was like, that's how we give people, what was it? A warrior's death. What? We'll learn about that later.
Yes, we do get to see the warrior's death.
So PG's annoyed with me at this point, because she is just this sassy little kind of hateful ball of energy.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about. And everyone around her is basically just does what she says because she is just so demanding.
Yeah, she is kind of a bully.
Yeah.
That is one of the things. And that's something which is funny, because we all learn a lesson at the end of this movie. Well, everyone except maybe Greg. I don't think he really learns anything. But okay, so this here is Lester D's Real Diner. And of course, it's an actual diner. You can actually visit this place. It's a movie themed restaurant owned by I think he was a special effects person, and he owns this movie themed diner in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. You can actually see the owner coming out, because the first shot you see is outside the diner, and you see this guy coming out looking at Alistair. Who, poor Alistair has to sit outside because no brains allowed. But this place it seems fucking awesome. First off, for the movie, they had a hunky. So I can't even say it.
A hunky boy?
They had a special hunky boy meal deal box, which came in this. It looked like a McDonald's Happy Meal box.
Oh,
and
that's
stuff,
awesome.
with PG all over it and stuff like that. And it came with 2 commemorative glasses for $25 altogether. And if you paid $30, you got chicken strips filled and put in your box.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was like, that's not a bad deal, actually. And I get chicken strips. But that was back in April, so I'm pretty sure those are all sold out by now. And of course, they have milkshakes and all sorts of badass options. And I don't know, if you go there, if you're in Canada, go check it out. Let us know what it's like.
Right.
We live nowhere near Canada.
No.
I can't justify driving to Canada to eat at this place. Hopefully one day I'm in Canada for some reason. Maybe I'm running from the law. I don't know.
Running from the law.
I don't know why I went to Canada. Don't you traditionally go to Mexico when you're running from the cops?
Yeah.
Why does everybody go to Mexico? Why wouldn't you just go to the California and just sail out into the ocean? Go to Japan.
Why wouldn't you just go to Australia?
I don't know. Maybe that's too far away.
Nothing happens in Australia.
No, that's true.
Except
you could
for
go live with
the killer animals.
Go live in the outback. I don't know how we got to Australia here, but go there. I don't know. Tell them Night of the Horrorphiles sent you. You won't get a discount or anything, but at least they'll know we talked about them. That's something, right?
They're like, who? What?
Who's the what
Shut
now?
the fuck up.
No, movies were shot here. Actual talented people have eaten here.
Don't tell them anything. Just
yeah,
eat their
on
food.
second thought.
So it's nighttime now, and PG is watching Mimi sleep with the gem. And you can tell that he wants to get it from her real bad, but he can't do anything.
Yeah.
So he decides that he's going to fuck with Luke. Luke wakes up in his bed, and the bed is like in the cemetery.
Yeah.
So PG is there, and he says that Luke is traversing the nightmare realm. He says he is there to communicate with him privately. He wants Luke to get the gem, but Luke says finders keepers.
Yeah.
It's the law.
That's definitely Mimi's law, I think is what it is.
PG says that the others will find out that he is alive and invade the planet. And Luke says that he can't do it because he thinks that Mimi will die if he takes the gem from her. He doesn't really say that, but he implies that.
It's kind of like he's protecting his sister.
Right.
Which is,
And PG's like, she's so mean to you. Like, you let her walk all over you. And I mean, that's true. But he also doesn't want his sister to
Luke's
die.
a good little kid. But I love this graveyard scene. It totally reminds me of the scene from Phantasm, which is actually Steven Kostanski's favorite horror film.
Oh.
Which, speaking of which, it's important to highlight that Psycho Goreman doesn't just hit us with nostalgia and this wonderful comedy and this goofy ass shit that's just way beyond description. It also tosses in some tributes to practical effect laden horror movies, specifically B movies of the 80s and early 90s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like we've said so far, the practical effects really stand out in this film. I mean, when you have a movie led by someone who worked with the effects on small budget movies and blockbuster size effects in movies like It Chapter 1 and Suicide Squad, you're going to be in for a visual feast because this is his own movie and he's allowed to go crazy with it.
Right.
It's same with The Void. He does that there, which he co-directs with somebody on there too, but it's same, it's same feeling. What's nice about this movie is they don't go out of their way to pretend it isn't shot in Canada. They don't go out of their way to show it is in Canada, but
right.
At the same time, they're not sitting there trying to convince you that Toronto is New York, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Because I hate it in movies when they're like, we're in New York City. It's like, dude, that is Toronto, Canada, like a motherfucker. Like, I can tell that's Canada.
I saw those maple leaves.
All I need is a Mountie to cross the screen at any moment. But that shit is so fucking annoying to me. I don't know why. Probably because I notice things like that. I'm a psychopath, but but most of this is actually filmed at the executive producer's house, like I said, and the surrounding area, like I mentioned earlier.
Oh yeah,
and this scene in particular is shot in the backyard.
Oh
yeah.
So it's daytime now. Mimi and Luke are teaching PG and Alistair how to play crazy ball.
And how the fuck is Alistair gonna do this? This poor brainchild that we got going on.
Well, first of all, he can't do jumping jacks.
And how's he supposed to spin? This poor thing
spins so slowly. He can't hold the ball over his head when he spins. What the hell?
Oh, God.
Anyway, so the police show up and they're pointing their guns at PG and start unloading on him and nothing's happening.
It's so funny because one of the cops is like, we should call for backup. He's like, it's too late. Shoot him. Like, what the fuck?
And so PG looks at the kids and says that he should have just had let the bullets hit them.
I love the way he blocks, though. If he blocks with his wrist, and it's so the Wonder Woman from the 70s move.
Oh,
that is so Wonder Woman blocking the bullets.
So PG ends up turning one of the policemen inside out and tells the other one to run and tell everyone that evil is here. So the officer, he can't take the car because the other dude has the keys. So he just has to run off.
And of course, this cop that's inside out is.
He still has the gun in his hand.
Like, it's so awful that it's so funny.
He's like trying to maneuver. So Mimi's like, okay, I guess you could play crazy ball too. So they go back to teaching crazy ball. And Alistair goes to leave, and Mimi goes to talk to him, and he says that he wants to be back to normal.
Because he's like, I'll ever be back to normal? And she's like,
probably not.
Probably not.
And she kisses him goodbye.
And like I said, you might be wondering why some of this is funny to us, since we just explained that he turned a cop inside out, basically. It's just the way it plays out. It's so hard to explain why this is so funny.
I don't know why you're trying to explain why it's so funny.
I like to explain that to our audience, to kind of get across the point of like why movies do what they do to your feelings and shit like that. But I have no explanation for this.
No. This movie just is.
It really is. It's one of those things where, like I said, and that was another reason why at the top of the show I told, if you hadn't seen the movie, turn this off and go watch it, because it is a movie you have to experience. Like, I know that sounds ridiculous. There's
no amount of me telling you what happened to even explain half of what actually happened.
Yeah, because I feel like if it wasn't just us and it was just a plot synopsis, you would think this sounds like the stupidest movie ever.
Right.
Kind of is, but that's part of its charm.
Right.
Like, so much stuff could have gone wrong with this movie. Or so much stuff could have gone wrong. So much of the nostalgia could have been too much.
Right.
So much of the stupid humor could have been too much. The ridiculous monster creature effects could have been too much. But it's like, I don't know how like I said, I don't know how he did this, but they get the perfect balance here of all these elements together to create one thing to where it's like, holy shit. Which, by the way, another funny thing that we didn't really even mention is that PG is dressed as Dr. Grant from Jurassic Park.
Is that who that is?
Yeah, and it was on purpose, like they dressed him up as the dude from Jurassic Park. And of course, this cop here, which is Inside Out, that's BioCop from that short I talked about earlier. And, people complain that BioCop hasn't been turned into a full feature-length film, which, well, it kind of has now, I think.
No.
This is technically, is this the prequel to BioCop?
I don't know.
Is that what this is? You'd have to see BioCop. Is anyone else a fan of these things, or is it just me?
I think just you.
Somebody out there is like, what the fuck is BioCop and Manborg, man?
Everybody.
It's like, I've seen The Void, but what the fuck is a Manborg and a BioCop?
Yeah, that's
what the hell is Leigh watching over there? But
everything.
Skipping.
Okay. So the kids, PG, and the officer are walking through the woods now, and Mimi is explaining how you can use frig in all sorts of ways. He's like, frig off, frig you. Like, it's just so funny how they don't cuss.
It's great.
It makes
keeps
it
that
hilarious.
Childish charm to the whole movie.
Yeah, because she could say fuck. I mean,
yeah.
There ain't no parents around. Well, the officer shoots his gun and then gives Mimi a letter, and it says, "Please kill me," in blood. Well, this pisses Mimi off because she wanted a love letter. She's like, "I told you guys to write love letters to me about how great I am."
The whole time, this poor cop is just trying to kill himself, and he's trying to shoot people.
So PG asks what love is, and Luke is trying to explain it, and PG says all he feels is anger and hate. And the dude in the back is trying to shoot himself, but it's not working. And Mimi says that love is for losers. She then tells PG to kill Luke for making fun of her for loving Alistair.
Yeah.
So PG picks him up, and then she makes him stop, all in like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
What the hell? And then she's making fun of Luke for being scared of dying. What the hell?
She tortures this poor guy, little kid.
Her older brother.
Yeah, she tortures her older brother, which is
So at the police station, we see that Pandora shows up in a human form. The officer that ran off is there, and he is explaining what happened and crying. Pandora asks someone about PG and says that he had to have slaughtered half of their people by now. The crying officer says he thinks that's who killed his partner.
yeah.
So she goes over, touches his head, and gets all the information from his brain. She's like electrocuting him, kind of.
Yeah,
It's so weird.
Well, yeah, you know, this police station here, it was actually, you know, we had that factory earlier, the warehouse
Yeah.
and stuff. This is actually the same warehouse. They just redesigned part of it to look like a police station. They do a wonderful job at that.
Yeah.
Like I said, the set decorators in this movie, I mean, shit, they do such a wonderful job
Right.
at this. Everything looks really good. But
So back in the woods, PG's old allies show up. And PG introduces the kids and says, he says, you can kill them now. Talking about his allies killing the kids. And they all laugh and say that they wouldn't do that because they like how things are now and wish that he was gone forever. And they said that they made a deal with the Templars that if they capture him, they will be spared death.
And you know, what's really great about this is they didn't have to go into such detail on each one of these creatures. Like, but they do. You know, you got Death Scream here, which is, I guess, PG's second in command.
Yeah.
Then you have a Death Trapper, which is like this trash can looking thing with body parts in it. It's, and then you got a fucking honest God witch, and then like a fucking pirate robot. Like out of nowhere, there's just a fucking pirate robot.
What the hell is all of this?
That's what I mean. They didn't have to pour this much detail into each one of these creatures. It could have just been like Death Scream and just just the same thing, just multiples.
Right. That makes sense. But I like the details here.
Yeah.
I like that everybody is different here.
It's totally like, especially at this point, it hits full Power Ranger mode.
Oh my God. Yes.
Because, I mean, they do good with the fight choreography and everything. Like, they went the extra mile to recreate that feeling.
Yes. So PG goes to fight them, and Mimi tells him he needs to die for telling them to kill her. So they start to beat him up. And okay, so this is great to me because they're showing it basically from PG's point of view, where they're all hitting him and kicking him and slashing him and stuff. And it's so dramatic and like fast paced and stuff. And then it pans over to the kids and it's like slow and boring.
Well, at one point they're eating a power bar and shit.
Like, what the fuck? So Mimi finally decides that if PG apologizes, she will let him fight back. So he finally does, like, sincerely apologize, and he gets to kill them all. He gets to the last guy and says that he fought honorably, and he's going to give him a warrior's death, which I explained earlier, which is eating them.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like a snake eats a mouse.
Yeah, he fucking unhinges his whole like chest cavity.
His whole mouth and everything, and swallows this person. Then he starts like puking up blood. I just imagine puking up blood. It probably tastes really gross. Anyway.
I don't think he really did. I think they would have rushed Matthew Ninaber to the fucking
Well, I know
hospital.
that.
Okay, I was going to say.
I knew it wasn't real.
Are you just talking about puking up blood in general?
Yeah, like if you puked up blood, like I just feel like it would taste. I mean, if you're puking up blood, you need to call an ambulance.
Yeah, I think that's a sign of danger. I don't think you're supposed to be puking up blood.
The blood's not supposed to be outside of your body unless you're the officer, dude.
It's supposed to be inside.
Yes.
I don't know. We could probably ask a hobo about this.
He will show us.
I feel like, are we going to get sued by the
No.
king of hobos?
He doesn't have any money.
Oh, right. We're good.
He has about as much money as we do.
We're unsuable. Like I said, we're never going to win a humanitarian award, so we don't have to try.
So then they go to leave, but PG is dying because they had poisoned their weapons.
Right.
Which is poisoning his blood.
Dun, dun, dun. Which I like that his blood is bright pink. You know,
Look like Pepto-Bismol.
It's great. Yeah. Now they had 2 days to shoot this sequence. And like I said, they filmed this sequence like a block away from that house in the woods. You know, it's
Right.
just the one spot in the woods that they really liked. And so they shot it there. It looks great.
Yeah.
Where they're at. It's a great set. It's not just a generic looking set of woods here, but you know, what was really bad is they had to lug all the equipment down. You know, there's no way to get down there. Luckily, the guy who owned the house, he came down in his truck and helped load all the stuff up and take them back up.
Nice.
But most of the paladins of Obsidian here, which is PG's old army buddies, I guess, they're all played by local stuntmen except for Connor Sweeney, who plays Cassius 3000, that robot pirate guy.
Yes.
Which, by the way, he has the weirdest death because he's like, he has him look into this pool. PG does. He's like, see it, evil lies inside, or something like that. He kills him with a metaphor. But anyway, originally Dark Scream, which I mentioned there, which is a play on Starscream from Transformers. Like I said, there's so many little
I knew it sounded like familiar.
He was supposed to have a laser whip, but they couldn't practically get it to work. There's a lot of things in this movie they wanted to do, but practically and budget wise, they just couldn't do it. Like PG, whenever his eyes turn that glowing color, like they do when he's enraged and stuff, there was supposed to be smoke coming out of him and stuff like that, but they didn't quite get to do that. But
that's okay.
Either way, there was nothing. I don't know. This is a perfect movie.
I didn't feel like anything was missing.
This is a perfect movie. I'm just going to say it now. It's perfect at what it does.
So at the house, Mom and Dad are fighting. Greg and Susan, sorry. Greg had bought a new TV, and he then tells Susan that he's taking a few weeks off of work, so she needs to pick up more hours. What the fuck? Death. Oh, you die.
What, does he have a job? Like, I haven't seen him work, really.
I mean, we don't see her work either, but...
True. Yeah, we don't need that. Which, like I said, you go from some fucked up science fiction gore and shit to just this. Right. That's what's so funny about it, though.
She tells him he needs to pack up his TV and leave, and she calls him lazy. Well, this sends him kind of into a rage and says that he isn't lazy. He was like, my parents called me lazy. My teachers called me lazy. I'm not lazy. So she says, so what do you do around here then? And he's like, well, So then we see him on the toilet, and now he's arguing. You know, when people like talk to themselves or whatever, he's arguing with himself about this shit. Oh. Then this ball of light comes, and it pops up, and it's PG's face. And he says he needs to find him or they all will die. And this freaks Greg out.
Well, yeah, because he's sitting here taking a shit.
Yes.
And just this ball of light wanders into the room and it looks pretty and stuff like that. Then all of a sudden it just fucking pops into PG's face. He's like, oh! Oh!
Yes. And Greg's like, and he ends up like falling in the bathtub. Yeah. Well, then the face goes away. And Greg's like, I don't know where to go. So PG comes back and he's like, tells him where to go or whatever. And then he goes away again and he comes back and then fucking Greg's like, or wait, he goes away and then Greg's like, I don't know where that is. So PG comes back and gives him fucking directions. What the hell?
And like we said, it's so dumb because like, how did the kids know he could do this? How does that work? You don't need any of it.
No. It's hilarious though.
I felt like you had strong opinions about the father in this movie.
Oh my gosh. This
poor
dumb
mom.
Yes, this poor mom. Oh, we'll get to that. I have a lot to say about
I have
that
a lot
too.
to say about Greg and Susan's
No, just
relationship.
Susan. Well, mostly just about Susan. So Greg goes to pick up PG and the kids, and PG tells Mimi that this is all her fault. And they drive off and run over the head of one of those monsters.
yeah, the witch monster is laying in the middle of the road.
Because she's like rolling, like her head is still alive, and she's like rolling, and Greg ends up like running it over.
Yeah.
So they get home, and Pandora and Susan are standing outside. Susan tells the kids to get out of the truck because it isn't safe out there. And Mimi tells Luke to go beat up Pandora. She was like, she doesn't look that big.
Go beat her up.
He's like, I can't do that. So she calls him a wiener. And Luke says that he's had enough. He gets out and goes and stands next to Susan. And then Susan says, you lazy. What did she say? You're so lazy you can't even get out of the truck or something like that.
Where she's like, for once in your lazy ass life,
yes,
you actually don't have to do anything. Just get out of the truck.
Yes. So Greg gets pissed off about this. And then he drives off with Mimi and PG in the back.
Which is, I can't tell if Greg is actually doing the right thing or the wrong thing. That's the funny part about this. It's like, well, it's the right thing because I like PG better than Pandora.
Right. Oh, I have no idea. So Greg and Mimi take PG to the abandoned building again, and they lay him down to rest or whatever.
Yeah.
And PG says that he needs the gem to regain his strength. So Mimi and Greg step off to the side to talk about it. And Mimi doesn't know what to do. Oh my gosh. Then Greg goes into this story. He was like, I met this man, and he invited me into his van to show me his giant collection of baseball cards.
Yeah, you're like, what is about to happen here?
And,
we're about to go into a molestation story with Greg.
Right. And he says, he tells her to just trust her murdery friend like he trusted his. What?
What is this story, Greg?
They looked at baseball cards together. That's so
in a
weird.
van.
Right.
I need Greg's origin story here, man.
Well, Mimi says she needs some time to think, so she goes into another room or whatever.
Yeah.
So back at the house, Pandora makes this weird mix thing, and it turns her back into her natural form.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gives a drink to Susan, and she chokes on it and starts to light up, but then it cuts the scene.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Greg here,
oh my God,
who's played by Adam Brooks, like I said, there is an interview with him also on the Blu-ray special features. Which, by the way, I'm not saying that. I'm saying this out of love, but Steven Kostanski is a nerd. You know?
Oh yeah.
And I feel like when nerds make movies like this, which is really surprising because a lot of the newer Blu-rays I get, which are just basic Blu-rays, no special editions or anything like that.
Yeah.
A lot of these Blu-rays I get don't come with special features much anymore. It comes with a trailer and maybe a commentary.
Oh, that sucks.
So when this came, I was very surprised when I looked, and there's like 2 hours of special features on this thing. But there's an interview with Adam Brooks. It's conducted by a stuffed panda that sounds like Herbert the pervert from fucking Family Guy.
Oh my God.
So he's like, what was your favorite scene to shoot in the movie? And there's a part at the end. There's a part at the end where it looks like Adam Brooks is about to crack up. Like they let the camera go in. And his like lip is quivering like he's about to just bust up laughing.
Oh, that's crazy. So Mimi is in this like office thing, and she's praying, and she said there is about to be a fight against evil and worse evil. And then there's this long pause, and she wants to know what she needs to do.
Which throws you for a loop because at first you're like, why is God entering this movie? This seems a little weird.
And she says, what glasses do I need to wear? And she says she doesn't know why she's talking to him because there's a new god in town named Psycho Goreman.
It's just she breaks the fucking crucifix. Seeing a little kid do blasphemy is just my new favorite thing.
I love it. So she goes in and tells him that she will give him the gem, but he can't kill her or her family. And he agrees. So she's looking for the gem and can't find it. Bum,
Dun,
bum,
dun,
bum. So Pandora bursts through the door and they see Susan there. And she is one of the Templars now.
Yeah.
Or dressed as one. Luke walks in and he has the gem. And Mimi is pissed. And she's trying to fight everybody. Well, then Susan goes after Greg. Pandora goes after PG. And Mimi is fighting with Luke. And he tells her that he was like, Dad was right. Humans are the monsters and you are one too.
Yeah.
Then PG requests one last battle and he requests that they play Crazy Ball.
Crazy ball.
And he says whoever wins gets the gem. So they kind of explain the rules.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Pandora's like lost.
Yes.
Can you explain the switcheroo part again?
Mimi's like, you should have listened. You should have paid attention. So they're playing and the kids end up at the last part together.
Yes.
And they have to do the punching thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And whoever punches first wins.
Back up about like 30 minutes into the show and you'll hear the rules again.
Yes.
I'm not going to repeat them. Y'all should have been paying attention. That's all I'm saying.
So Mimi ends up getting there first, which means her team won, which was her, PG, and Greg.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, Pandora is pissed and she is tired of these shenanigans. So she goes to kill PG. Mimi steps in front of him and Pandora's going to kill her too until Susan steps up and stops her. And Mimi wants the gem from Luke, but he takes it. He takes this opportunity, the worst fucking opportunity.
You're like, I remember where I was watching this with you, and Brittany's all of a sudden like, "This is not the time. For this.
This is not. It's not." He tells Mimi that he wants an apology because she is so mean to him, and she just starts singing.
Yeah, she starts singing "Freak Off."
I'm the
again.
Heckin' best, which makes Greg, PG, and Luke start singing.
PG's like, "Is this love?" Yes, this is love, silly.
And all of this is happening while fucking Susan is saving the fucking world. And nobody's fucking paying attention and nobody's fucking appreciative of this. Oh my God. Oh my God. And she's saving them and all they're doing is fucking singing and it pissed me the fuck off. That's what moms get.
But they're teaching PG how to love. And isn't that, at the end of the day, the most important lesson that we all learn?
No, moms always get shafted and that's not cool. By the way, I left out a part here that's kind of important. Well, I mean, kind of. I don't know.
Is it the mid-air somersault that Greg does? That's obviously a stunt man. Is that the most important part?
No, that's not what I was gonna say. But he does jump up and give PG a high five,
which breaks his fucking arm.
Breaks his fucking wrist. It's so crazy. That'll come back into play.
Yeah.
So Luke ends up giving Mimi the gem, and then Pandora takes away Susan's suit thing from her.
Yeah.
So Greg catches her as she falls and tells her, he looks at her, and you think he's going to say something really sweet, right? And he says, I need you to take me to the hospital because my wrist is broken. You motherfucker. I hope you die of sepsis, okay?
God. Like I said, I think everybody learns a lesson except for Greg in this film.
What a dumbass motherfucker. He even asked Luke if he can drive. He's like, Luke, can you drive? No. What? So Pandora goes to kill Susan and PG stops her because he has the gem now. So they start to fight, and PG is pulling her bones out of her body,
Yes.
and he's building this sword thing out of her body parts.
Does it make sense? No. Does it look cool? Yes.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I said, the
So
majority of this
fucking
movie,
cool.
it looks fucking cool. And of course, like they're playing the Power Ranger type like fucking guitar music while they're fucking sword fighting. It is amazing.
It's great. So they're fighting, and Mimi tells Luke that she's sorry. PG sees that his Hunky Boys magazine is
Not my
messed up.
hunky boys.
So this pisses him off even more. And then he almost kills Pandora. And he's like, I'm going to give you a warrior's death. She's like, no.
Yeah, I mean, this goes to show you don't mess with anybody's hunky boys. You know,
No.
don't tear up somebody's hunky boys. It's just not okay.
No.
It's not okay.
Where's
It's another lesson we learn here.
Do you have a Hunky Boys magazine?
I'm sure somewhere. No, I don't have print. You know, this isn't the 90s anymore. A Hunky Boys website now.
Oh,
You gotta
okay.
go to the hunkyboys.com. Do you think there's a hunkyboys.com?
Probably.
Maybe, yeah.
You're like getting your phone to Google it.
Let me see if there's a hunkyboys.com here. Back to the
Anyway,
movie.
so everything's done, and PG says that he knows what he needs to do now, and he gives Mimi the gem. He tells her that he knows now that the true power comes within, and he goes to leave, and Mimi blows him a kiss, and he catches it. Oh, it's so sweet.
It really is sweet.
And then he makes this portal thing, and he goes through it, and he starts killing people.
He starts taking over the galaxy.
Right.
Well, by the way, dude, this just in. You know, if we all gang together, listener, you know, if we all chip in some money, we could buy hunkyboys.com for $1,600. Night of the Horrorphile could own hunkyboys.com.
No.
No?
No.
We're not going to own hunkyboys.com?
No.
Just hunkyboys.com, and it's nothing but this episode.
That's it.
And a link to where you can buy Psycho Goreman. There.
You could buy Crazy Balls.
Oh, you can. You can. We'll discuss that here in a minute.
Okay. So the family ends up driving off. But the movie's not over yet, okay? At Alistair's house, we see PG on the news destroying cities. Then his parents call him down for dinner, and you're like, oh, maybe he's back to normal, right? No, he's still this huge brain thing, and no one even fucking says anything. And the whole time I'm watching this movie, by the way, the whole time I was watching this movie, I was like,
holy shit.
I was like, where are Alistair's parents?
You're like, hey, we got their parents.
And why are they not concerned that he's a big old fucking brain
slapping a salad at the end of this fucking movie? Which okay, so with the Blu-ray came a Psycho Goreman officially licensed merchandise catalog by Plastic Meatball. So you can go to plasticmeatball.com for this for your Psycho Goreman collection. And they have action figures. They have an abandoned shoe factory adventure set coming soon. Of course, you can buy the Psycho Goreman and Pandora collector glasses that came with that Lester D's Real Meal, which actually I have a coupon for a Lester D's Real Meal deal, $7.99, which you know it expired already, but no, I don't think they'd honor that. Maybe I could get my free sandwich or something. But of course, you got T-shirts, all sorts of T-shirts, and of course, you can buy the Psycho League Championship Edition Crazy Ball from, you know, you get your own Crazy Ball customizing kits. So good shit. Which,
Right.
by the way, in this catalog, which is hilarious, and you got Psycho Goreman party supplies and everything, but in the back there, you have Psycho Goreman Puzzle Fun.
puzzle fun.
Yes,
Okay.
we have a Gygax Council word search. See that?
Okay.
Yeah. And okay, on this page, I have you can Psycho Goreman and Mimi love Hunky Boys. It's a maze, and you solve the maze to find the Hunky Boy magazines. And then, of course, you can build your own Psycho Goreman sword. It's got all
Oh.
these body parts that you can cut out. And it says, Psycho Goreman just received the gem of Peroxidite, restoring his ultimate cosmic power. Now he needs a weapon for battle against Pandora. And using scissors and the supervision of an adult or a friendly neighborhood hobo, carefully cut out the pieces below to build your own PG sword. Connect the pieces using small dabs of glue, clear tape, or blood of your enemies.
Nice. Okay, that's the kind of sword you can have right there in their little booklet.
Really? A body
Yes.
part? Oh, I'm going to go get the friendly neighborhood hobo. Hang on. I don't think they're friendly neighborhood
Don't
hobos.
Bring them into the house, please.
Just come in. Me and a hobo are doing crafts.
Please don't bring them in the house. I told you about bringing the strays in. No more.
You guys got any meth? Anyway. But anyway, it's just shit like that. This movie.
Oh my
Man,
gosh.
This movie is this may be the most perfect movie in the world. That's all I'm saying.
I agree.
There is absolutely no complaints I have about this fucking movie. But Psycho Goreman, it did have a bit of a problem with release. Like I said, it came out in 2020 right at the end of 2020. But it was due to premiere at the South by Southwest Film Festival in March 2020. But of course, we all know what happened there. COVID took over the planet and everybody stopped wearing masks. And so, that's another story. That's on Shooting the Shit where we bitch about politics, but that shut everything down. But it did get to screen later in the year, in October, in fact, at Beyond Fest. And I believe it was digitally that they did that. Do you remember when the film festivals were going digital?
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. But the film's distribution rights were then acquired by RLJE Films and Shudder, and was released in theaters and on demand, which is Shudder, on January 22nd, 2021. So that's when we all got to see Psycho Goreman.
Oh, so not that long ago.
No. Yeah, that's what I was saying. This is probably the most recent movie we've ever done.
I think so.
Yeah. And honestly, I think it came out, like I said at the beginning of the episode, it came out just the right time. This was a breath of fresh air.
Right.
Man.
It seems like it would be.
That's why I chose to do it between this, our past episodes and our upcoming episodes, which the majority of our upcoming episodes are going to get real serious with the history and the it's going to be some thick boys coming, you guys. September is going to be very laden. And so it was just a nice break to pull this thing out and talk about it, man. I had a blast with this fucking movie. It's a cheesy midnight movie mixed with the right amount of stupid and the right amount of nostalgia.
Right.
It's just so much fun. And I think I've seen this movie a total of 5 times now, and it never loses its edge. There's always something. But on a budget of $670,000 US, I think it was $890,000 in Canada money.
Oh,
I don't know what those are called, but
I don't know.
but $670,000, it's remarkable at what they pull off, especially when only $39,000 of that went to creature effects.
What?
Yes.
That's amazing.
It is amazing what they pulled off with this movie because, like we said, we've stressed it enough. The practical effects and even the visual effects they add later, it all meshes together and looks great.
Yes.
It's what you want. Like in this movie, it's perfect for this movie. So let's get right to it, though. What did you think about Psycho Goreman from the year 2020?
I freaking love this movie, man. It's hilarious. It's got everything I want.
Yeah.
It's got comedy. It's got gore. I love a good gore movie. I mean, it's not necessarily scary, but
No.
It doesn't need to be. I don't know. It's great. I love to laugh.
It's a good blend of multiple genres. And I wonder, did you grow up with the Power Rangers or any kind of stuff like that? Like Masters of the Universe or anything of the stuff I grew up with? Did you grow up with any of that?
I mean, I remember people talking about it, but I didn't watch Power Rangers or anything like that. Not until the boys. Yes, the boys.
Yeah.
Not until the oldest was really, oh my God, that kid was really into Power Rangers.
Right. And I grew up with this stuff. So that's what I mean by it's just the perfect blend of nostalgia, because so much stuff tries to bring out nostalgia in us all nowadays. I mean, film companies, and big Hollywood can't fucking do nostalgia to save their ass.
Right.
Because if this was a big Hollywood movie, I feel like to get the 90s across, we'd have like song after song in the weirdest possible places.
Yeah.
And plus, like, we'd be seeing shit from the 90s that they always do this thing where like everything that was released in the 90s is in a movie. Like, where it's like, okay, normally people didn't own all that shit. Like, that came out in the 90s.
Yeah.
Not everybody was into everything at once.
Right.
You know, so like, and it's nice and refreshing to see somebody do a nostalgia throwback to stuff like this without punching you in the fucking head over and over again. It's done very smart here.
Yeah, because it wasn't until the movie was over and I was like, when did this take place? Because I didn't realize like there's no cell phones.
Right. It feels normal.
Yes.
Like, that's what you need to do. Like, that's what I mean by like Psycho Goreman takes nostalgia and does it perfectly.
Yes.
You know, it's a trip. It's fun. Like, if you grew up on stuff like Turtles and Power Rangers and Masters of the Universe, all this shit, the toys from back then, this is the shit I would have played with. Like, all these little toys and stuff. I had characters that looked like Psycho Goreman. So, you know, it brings up those feelings of when you were a little kid and shit, but also it plays to you as an adult. You know,
oh, for sure.
The stupid comedy and just the little bits here and there, it's so good.
It's fantastic.
But anyway, that's Psycho Goreman from 2020, the year that sucked the most ass, I think. And like I said, it was nice to have this there at the end to kind of just, But anyway, so next month, you guys, it's getting serious. We're going to start out the month with a 2-part episode on horrors from Japan. That's right, we're doing J-horror, a whole month of J-horror, starting with a 2-part little episode of just the history. We're going to go through, I'm going to go through the earliest beginnings of what influenced J-horror. You know, we're going to talk about Japanese ghost stories. I'm going to mispronounce some Japanese words, probably get a lot of letters.
Right.
But we're going to go all the way through to what some consider the death of J-horror, which was around 2010. But, you know, I'm going to explain to you that there still are some good Japanese horror. You just kind of look for them.
Right.
But anyway, until next time, when we say konnichiwa, I'm Lee Evans saying stay spooky and don't touch my hunky boys.
And I'm Brittany. Stay horrific. I'm the Heckin Bears.
Frig off. Thanks for listening. To get a hold of us and submit your stories, fan mail, and death threats, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and nightatthehorrorfile.com. Our theme song was written and performed by John Brennan. Used with permission. Find John at shopjb.bandcamp.com and at badtechno.com. If you like what you hear, leave a good review wherever you listen to podcasts and share the show on your social media. See you next week.